Hello YouTube. In this video tutorial we will see a lot of things about JWT. I hope some of you have already know about JWT. So if you have a basic understanding of JSON web tokens, so I'll request you to just skip this video and go for the next in which we have shown you how we can implement the JWT or JSON web tokens in ASP.NET Core by using middleware or without using the middleware, both videos. So this video is created just for the developers who don't know about JWT, how it works, what are the flows, what are the different options available in JWT while creations and all that stuff. So okay, so just watch it accordingly. So okay, so let's go ahead and see what JWT offers to us. So this is Abhishek Bedre. Let's go to the article that is published on infologs.in. Okay, JWT bearer authentication in middleware using ASP.NET Core. Okay, here you'll most of see the fundamentals and how we can implement the JWT in ASP.NET Core. But in this video we are not going to make it practical. We'll explore the tokens, the parts of tokens, what are the different section of tokens, in which scenario we should go for the JWT token, right? So all of this we'll discuss in this video. Okay, so most of the things we have explained, so let's go ahead and see. Normally when we can use the authentication process, let's say I'm developing an application which is basically a static application which intentionally throws only the information, right? In that case we don't need any kind of authorization and authentication, both doesn't need. Okay, but let's say I want to make an application for my organization, right? In that case I have to authorize and authenticate a particular user who is coming on the website. Let me open up the Excel so we can make it the flow, how we can what in which scenario we can use the token and authorization. I hope you guys have know about the differences between authentication and authorization, right? So if you don't know, then no worries, I'll explain whenever it comes in the picture. Here I'll make it like, let's say a user is coming to website. Okay, so how this website get to know that this user is authenticated and authorized? So in that case we need a authentication process before accessing the website, right? So as soon as user comes to the website, we'll go for the authentication process. Authentication process normally which has asking for the username and password, right? If the user enters the username password correctly, then then the user goes for the let's say we have a information section. In this section the user can get the personal info, then salary related info, then investment related, okay, to save the taxes and all that. Okay, so this is the normal process, right? So in this scenario where we can implement the token process, let's say now we have an application which does all the different section. Let's say in this website we have a information section about employees, then we have a department section, we have a sales section, we have a client let's say support section, right? So we have a different section. Now I wanted to use all this information in a mobile application, right? In that case, again, whatever the user comes on this mobile application, I have to authenticate that user by entering username, password. Okay, I hope you are getting the whole process, right? In which sections we have to use the normal authentication process, and then we are coming to the token related authentication, right? So here, whenever user enters the username, password, the website, okay, so again I'll here write the website will generate a token, and then whatever the next request comes to the website, it will authenticate the token and gives the requested response, right? So on the basis of this token, all the requests will get response accordingly. So well, this section, the token section, can be handled with the different technologies. Let's say we have a OAuth, then we have a JWT. We can also go for the custom token. Okay, so here we are not going to discuss about the custom token and OAuth token, so specifically we go for the JWT, right? So in short, whenever you wanted to communicate with any third-party application, let's say my application wanted to communicate with Facebook or Twitter or Paytm, whatever it is, okay, in that case I'm gonna use the token based authentication, right? So this is here, the token comes. So it's a different platform produces supports for the different token based. So today we will see about JSON web tokens. It is very popular, very lightweight, right? That's why it's easy to integration. You just need to understand the flow of this and what are the method steps to implement in that in your application, whether it's a Java based application or ASP.NET based application or PHP based application, whatever it is, right? I hope you guys have understood all this basic concept of this, right? Let's go back to the article. So here you'll see the basic things. So authentication process is a process of determining a user's identity. Authorization is a process of determining whether a user has access to the resources. Okay, this is the basic definition of authentication and authorization. Let's say I'll give you one more example. So a user coming to the website, if user produces the username and password valid, then user can access personal information. Okay, and but user is restricted to access the sales data, right? In this case, what happens? The user who is coming to the website, which enters the valid username and password, but okay, this is the process of authentication. Okay, if user enters the valid username password, so we have authenticated that user, and now user is trying to access the personal information. Again, user has the permission to access the personal information of particular user, of his details. Okay, but user doesn't have access or doesn't have a permission of sales data. So in that case, here authorization comes into the picture. sorry, authorization comes into the picture, right? That means if a valid user comes on the website and he or she doesn't have access to the particular resources on the server, so that is the authorization process, right? I hope you are getting this picture clear right now. Okay. In ASP.NET Core, authentication is handled by the authentication service, which is used by the authentication middleware. The authentication process uses the registered authentication handlers to complete authentication related actions. For example, the authentication related actions include the authenticating a user and responding user and unauthenticated user tries to access restricted resources. Okay, so let's talk about the bearer authentication. What is the bearer authentication? Okay, I hope you have deposited a bearer check in the bank. Okay, this is a similar kind of thing. So first of all, we should understand what is bearer authentication. What is the bearer token according to the specification? Okay, the standard definition of bearer authentication is a security token with the property that any part in a position of a token, a bearer can use the token in any way that any other party in possession of it can. Using a bearer token does not require a bearer to prove possession of cryptographic key material, proof of possession. Okay, that means in short, I wanted to, if I have a valid token, then I can do a particular thing. Okay, that is the basic thing. If I don't have a valid token, then I can't access or I can't do anything on the website. Okay, in other words, by presenting a valid token, user will be automatically authenticated without having to match or present any additional signature or details to prove it was granted to user. Okay, if the user has a valid token, that means that user is granted by the security system, right? And the standard process where we can pass this authorization token, that basically goes on the header section of HTTP request. So here is the basic structure where we can pass our token. Okay, now here it can be a JWT token, it can be a authentication token. Okay, or if you have a custom token, then you can use this authorization attribute, or you can go ahead and use the custom attribute as well. So now the important question is, what is JWT? Okay, JWT is a JSON web token. It's a web standard. It may be like 7476, something like that. Okay, you can go ahead and see here. It is RFC 7519 standard. Okay, that defines a method for transferring claims as a JSON object in such a way that they can be cryptographically signed or encrypted. It is used extensively in the internet nowadays, right? So I have already shown in our previous video tutorial how you can use and pass the JSON and all that stuff. This is totally based on that technology, right? So here is the basic structure of JWT. So we have a simple objects, what kind of algorithm we are going to use, type, and what are the information you want to store in the payload. Okay, so here before that we have a three different we can say the part of JWT token. Okay, number one is header, so JSON object which indicates the type of token, JWT, and the algorithm used to sign it. Payload, a JSON object with the asserted claims and identity, and the signature to encrypt whole data, right? And all this information is encoded in base64 URL and then transferred over the wire in the HTTP header section by using the by default authorization attribute. Okay, so after the encryption you'll see something like this. Okay, so here let's say I'll copy all this information to Notepad, so we'll get idea about it. So here you'll see a first dot, number one section, and here you'll see the second. Okay, these are the three sections. In short, you can say this is the header, then this is the payload, and this is the signature, right? as simple as that. So how do you pass this token to the web application? It's very simple, as shown here. You have to pass it in the authorization section by using this bearer keyword. It's not a keyword, it's just a string, but it indicates this is the bearer token. Okay, and then the whole encrypted string, sorry, encoded string. Okay, so you can also go ahead and see what are the default data, what are the datas inside this token. It's very simple. Go to the JWT.io. Here you will see the details. Okay, so let me go ahead and delete this and just paste it. See, the header is HS256 algorithm, type of JWT. The name is Abhishek Bedre and the signature is this. Okay, so whenever we create a JSON token, that you have to keep in mind that you can't store the sensitive information inside this token, because this token can be, it's just a base 64 encoded base 64, so anyone can decrypt it. Okay, so we can see the data, what are the actual payload we are sending, but let's say I am encrypting all this information, so I don't get to know what is the data, right? So you have to keep in mind, whenever we create a token, we have to we don't need to store that encrypted sensitive information like passwords and all that stuff in the payload. Okay, or if you want to, then you can go ahead and encrypt that with your private key and then store in the payload section. Okay, then that will get more sensible and that more secured way to store information, right? Let me go back to the article. Yeah, okay. So in JWT bearer authentication process, there are few packages. Let's say I'm talking about the ASP.NET Core 2.2. Then we have to include a NuGet package called JWT bearer. Okay, but after releasing of 3.1, I think there we don't need to include this package in our project. We're gonna see all that stuff in practically in our upcoming videos. So currently we are just talking about what are the how we can do that, what are the claims, okay, all that stuff. Okay, so now we got to know that we have to add a NuGet package for JWT bearer, maybe or may not, okay, depending on your version of ASP.NET Core which you are using, right? Next is here is a few authentication process. So what kind of validations you want to put in the JWT? So here I have I wanted to validate issuer. Okay, so generally whenever we create token or issue a token, in that case we are storing who is the issuer of this token. Let's say a particular website or particular module or whatever thing. Okay, so we put that kind of information in the token itself. So validator issues, I need to validate issuer. So what will be the valid issuer? This website will be issuer. Validate audiences. Okay, so we can also put the audience here. So what kind of audience? Let's say I am creating a token just for the merchants. Okay, so audience will be the merchants. Okay, if the token is coming from the user or let's say the customer, so we are not that token will get automatically invalid. Okay, because the audience is not right for the token. Audience is only for the merchants, right? And validity lifetime, we can put the restrictions of 2 hours, 8 hours, 24 hours or 8 days, whatever the requirement says, right? Next is handling authentication async. Okay, there are few different methods available through which you can asynchronously handle the authentication process. Okay, let's say here we have a event from JWT options, that is on message received. Okay, so whenever with the message received, you can make it async and try to authenticate it by yourself. Okay, if you don't want to use the built-in authentication process of JWT. Okay, there are different events. Let's say on message received, on validation failed, you see on the in just below. Okay, so there are some other options where you can manually retrieve the token from the header sections and check for the process. Let's say whatever we pass the token from the header section in the authorization attribute, so you can take it under the on received message context. Okay, there you can read it from the header section and then try to validate it or check for the bearer. If the bearer keyword is available in front of the token, then we are going to retrieve it, and then let's say it's authentication skip result, whatever you wanted, you can do that, right? You can also update the token validation parameters according to your requirements. Validator issuers, I want to check it. Okay, all these processes manually, and that can be automated, automatically checked by the JWT without making any code changes. Okay, all this is the customization if you want to do it by yourself. Okay, so we are going to do that in our upcoming video tutorials, where we see by using the middlewares, without using the middlewares, all that stuff in practical, right? So here, as I told you, we have a validator section as well. So here we can validate our token. Then if the validation is successful, then what do you want to do? You want to make a ticket or validations. Okay, so you want to send all the access token to the end user. So this is the creation time of token, right? If the validation fails, what kind of messages you are going to deliver to the end users, and all that stuff can be handled on the validation failed event, which is provided by the JWT. And then the JWT handler authorization async, again we have already seen this kind of thing. So there may be a thing that you can go for the cookie based authentication. That means whenever the request is coming from the user, so we'll create a token of that user if the validation username and password is correct, and generate a JWT token and store that token inside a cookie. And whenever the subsequent request comes to the server, it will text the cookie and try to validate it. If the successful validation, then the resources can be served to the requester. Okay, that can be also possible. So it's totally dependent on your requirement, what kind of requirement is yours. Okay, if the validation is failed, the token is invalid, so the 401 unauthorized return can go to the with the www-authenticate header. Okay, so the server will return this header attribute with the appropriate message to the end user. Okay, you can go ahead and see the specifications, what kind of real specifications out there, and okay, if you wanted to see that in detail, right? And at last, there are few articles that is also related to the JWT by using the middlewares and without using the middlewares. In upcoming videos, we are going to see the how we can implement. Okay, in today's sessions, we have declared all the things about JWT, what actually needs it, how the flow is coming from user to server to token to validations to validation failed to back to the users, right? The all informations we have seen here, right? And in the next article we are on, in the next video, we are going to implement in ASP.NET Core project by using the middleware to create and validate our JWT token, right? So if you have any other questions, or if you don't get clear idea about the JSON, the utilization of JSONs, the exact scenario where we can implement the JWT, whether we have already discussed on the scenarios where we can do that, right? So yeah, you can put the comment using the Facebook account, so I'll get information about your requests. Or you can also go and put the comments just below this video, right? So I'll definitely provide you a response as soon as possible. Okay, so yeah, One more thing I would like to talk you about. This is the off the video. So this is not related to the JWT. Now JWT is over, right? So there are few subscribers who told us to start a new series on specifically for ASP.NET Core MVC as well as ASP.NET Core Razor, which is the latest template from the Microsoft, right? So still I'm not let's say what I say, I'm not sure about which tutorial should I go for. So I need more confirmation from you guys. So I should go for MVC or Razor, right? According to your response, I will start a new series of ASP.NET Core. It's MVC or it can be a Razor, right? Yeah, and if you wanted to get more details about ASP.NET Core, we have a lot of articles already published on Infologs.in. So here you will see the list of articles through introduction to environment setups and then project structures. All the information we have listed over here. So you just need to come here and just read the articles, or we have also provided a specific that you won't get anywhere. So here is the article, and here you will see the specifically dedicated video on this article, right? That's amazing, guys. So it will help you to understand. You don't need to, if you have a very little time, so you just come here and watch this video. That's it. Okay, and if you have wanted to more details, so you can combine all these articles and video related things, and you can learn definitely valuable things on this website, right? Yeah. I think I have covered a lot of things about JSON and the structure of JSONs, the algorithms you can hear, the list of algorithms you wanted to use in that, right? Whatever it is. So yeah, in our next video, we are going to implement this JSON Web Token creation as well as the validation using the ASP.NET Core middleware, right? Till then, just yeah, one more thing that I would like to show you from this video. We are not going to say like this video or subscribe this my channel. I am not gonna do that, right? If you like it and if you wanted to more, you obviously you are going to, I have a full faith on you guys, right? So if you wanted to learn more things, definitely some of you are going to subscribe this. Okay, so from the next video I'm not gonna tell you about please like and all the subscribe. Okay, that is all up to you guys. If you wanted to do it, otherwise not an issue. Yeah, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video. Till then, this is Abhishek Bedre signing off. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.